Good evening. Calling the Antioch Police Oversight Commission meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Lacioha,
Present.
Commissioner Benoni,
Present.
Commissioner Peterson,
Present.
Vice Chair Williams,
Present.
Chair Taylor.
Present.
We have a quorum at 6:31. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Welcome, y'all, new commissioners. We're happy to have you. On to our consent calendar. It is recommended that we approve the meeting minutes for November 3rd, November 17th, and December 1st. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
So moved.
Can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioha,
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Aye.
Chair Taylor.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Item -32, also recommended to move the meeting minutes from January 5th, special meeting on January 26th, and notice of adjournment with no quorum. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Question.
Second.
Absolutely.
I believe, I'm perfectly happy to go ahead with this, but we're missing February 2nd here.
We are.
So at some point, we'll need to add February 2nd.
Thank you.
Can I just simply amend the item?
Yes, that should be fun.
You can.
So we'll need a
motion.
new motion.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to include February 2nd on the approved minutes, as well as January 5th and January 26th.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioha,
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Aye.
Chair Taylor.
Yes.
The motion passes to amend the minutes with the February 2nd, 2026 to be included. Thank you.
Okay. Chair, can I suspend the rules and move item 5, Police Chief Vihill's report, before item 4?
Yes, can you motion
I would like to make a motion to move item 5-1, Chief Vihill's report, in place of item 4.
it? Is there a second?
Second?
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioha,
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Aye.
Chair Taylor.
Yes.
The motion passes to move the chief's presentation up. Number 4, thank you.
We'll pass the floor to you, Chief.
Good evening. Am I on? Left or right? Yep. This one. Good evening. Before we get started, I'm going to try to get this video clip to play.
When I had first started, it was one of those things where you keep your head down, yes sir, no sir, and you do what you're told.
Back in the day, it was kind of a little different. When you're really new, you may not have the courage to stand up and say something, even if you see, I wouldn't say something wrong, but if you see something that you felt could have been done a different way, they may not have felt comfortable enough to do that.
ABLE is an intervention program designed to reduce harm and transform culture. So we have a lot of policy out there related to duty to intervene as well as law. Officers don't know how to intervene, and that's where ABLE steps in.
In this career field, you're gonna have awkward conversations all the time. You could be out on patrol and somebody comes up to you asking you a question that you really don't know the answer to, but you gotta give them something because you're wearing the badge.
You know, anytime we have a training with people coming in and talking to us, the biggest fear is always people are going to come in and tell us we're doing everything wrong and we're the bad guys. But what was refreshing about ABLE training was at least the instructor's personability and interjecting early and often. It's not about jamming up your guys, it's about making sure we don't get into a situation that people have to get in trouble for.
I think the key to the procedural justice, the principle of policing, is it says, hey, interactions, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. There's no play-by-play. There's, hey, yeah, go out there and give people a voice and listen to them. Okay, but active listening for everyone is very different.
I think with this training, it is going to give the community an opportunity to be able to build back whatever relationships were kind of broken down over the last couple of years in the police department, because there were struggles. There were people who were like, we trusted you, and this is what happened.
In the ABLE training, we were all on the same field. The chief wasn't the chief anymore, I wasn't the sergeant, right? The captain wasn't the captain, we were all kind of one there. And you don't get trainings like that. You know, the cool thing about ABLE is when we did this training, everybody was in this class from the top down. So all the way up to the chief, to the junior probationary officer that's still in the field training program. And one thing that we talked about was encouraging the youth to be comfortable with speaking up appropriately.
I think ABLE helps with the overall officer wellness by being able to have that kind of firsthand knowledge of each other, to grasp that we all have our issues no matter what rank you are. That rank honestly doesn't matter when you need to have these conversations, and when somebody needs the help, you kind of recognize it as soon as you possibly can to try to get them help they need, which will ultimately be in everyone's best interest in officer wellness.
Well, it's going to start in our police department first, and it starts from the top down. So we're going to see it from the chief, making sure that the program is a priority and isn't just something that we're just doing because we have to or because it looks good, checking a box. We want it to be something that's going to be culture changing, and then it will affect the police department, the officers, and then it will move its way out into the community. And that's where it's really going to make its impact, because the people, you can't fake the people out. There's enough people that don't trust the police as it is right now, whether it's our department or just police in general. And so this gives us an opportunity to have a new set of skills and a new paradigm on how we're going to approach policing, but public safety in the city of Antioch.
We want to have a balanced approach, right? Like, it's not going to be, I think the challenge this department had was it was trying to push positive, positive, positive all the time, when that wasn't the overall collective experience in the community.
Given all of the challenges the agency has been through in the last couple of years, when really trying to affect culture change and connecting with the community, we thought this was a great opportunity to be involved with a program that will not only help officers and give them the tools to go out there and meaningfully connect with each other in here on a different level. I think it's no surprise, given everything that we've been through, we want to develop our officers. We want to give them the skills they need so they can interact not only with the community, but with each other to have hard conversations.
Only trainings that we heard people really saying they liked. Like, that was a good training. A lot of people didn't really know what they were going into. Could do a training on our day off or whatever, but that was something that they actually felt it was worth going to.
And you don't get trainings like that, you know. Trainings are usually junior guys, we're at basic trainings, your advanced trainings, you got senior guys in there, you usually don't get that mix. And so ABLE brought us all together and put us on the same playing field.
So we have limited AV skills tonight, so bear with me because I'm trying to do everything. There we go. Perfect. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll kind of run through the police overview, and I can take questions at the end or as we go through it, whatever's easier for you all. So we'll kind of start first and talk about staffing. Out of the 105 authorized sworn police officer positions that we have currently, we're sitting at 85 positions that are filled. 3 people are on injury leave, and I have 3 officers in the field training program. Our academy attendees do not count in our overall sworn numbers. So I think a lot of people think that they do count. They do not. They don't count until the day that they graduate and they're sworn in and they come back to us from the police academy. Our current patrol, and then we'll run through the breakdowns of each bureau. So currently our patrol division is overseen by 1 captain, 2 lieutenants, 4 sergeants, 3 corporals, 42 patrol officers, and 5 community service officers. We also have 1 acting lieutenant and 1 acting sergeant. And for our patrol officers, a good number is 54, and that's what we prefer to have in patrol. Our investigative division consists of 1 captain, 1 lieutenant, 12 investigators, 2 crime analysts, and currently we have 1 acting sergeant. In our investigative division, we prefer to have 16 detectives in that unit, just based on the caseload. Let me go back one. And just to put things in perspective, we're sitting here at 85 currently. The most we've had in the last 4 years has been 91. But the 3 on injury leave, it's not long-term injury, so hopefully those individuals will come back here pretty shortly. Our traffic and set team is supervised by 1 sergeant, 2 traffic officers, 2 community engagement officers, I just drew a blank, sorry, and 2 code enforcement officers. The traffic sergeant also oversees parking enforcement, which consists of 2 CSOs and 2 part-time CSOs. We had, just through injuries and personnel movement, 2 months ago, we had over 500 parking complaints for the whole city. We were able to move some personnel around, pick up 2 part-time CSOs, and now we're averaging less than 5 complaints daily, and they've got a good handle on the complaints. And much like the other divisions, we would like to see at least 6 traffic officers in our traffic unit. Traffic remains our #1 complaint throughout the city, and just recently we were able to add 2 weeks ago another officer to the traffic unit. So you'll see them more and more. You probably see Officer Desiderio now practicing on the motorcycle through downtown. But yeah, and they're doing more operations now that they have a little bit more capacity tied to some of our grants. And then lastly is our professional standards unit, which consists of 1 captain, a lieutenant, 3 sergeants, and our community liaison officer, Officer Amiri, who you all have met. Let's talk a little bit about hiring and recruiting. Big shout out to the HR staff. We have, in the last 18 months, processed several hundred applicants and been able to offer and get people through the academy, through FTO, almost 25 people. So that's big numbers. They moved through a lot of applicants. And keep in mind, they are also trying to fill the host of other open city positions. So our HR team is huge, and they're a good partner with us in our hiring and recruiting. Currently, I have 1 academy in progress. Sorry, 2. 1 just started earlier this month. We have 1 recruit at Contra Costa Academy. He's supposed to graduate in July. And Alco, Alameda County's Sheriff's Office Academy, I have 2 recruits. I lost 2 recruits in the last week. The upcoming Contra Costa Academy were guaranteed 4 spots. I have 2 on the waiting list, so the hopes are to get 6 into that academy. Positions in academies are starting to open up as we near the spring and summer academy start dates. So hopefully as we work our way through the candidate pool, we're able to find people to put into some of the different academies. We had close to 70 people at our last testing. The one before that, we had over 100. Those are pretty good numbers. Our hiring and recruiting team does a good job sharing the good work that we do, putting out, we're hiring and we're recruiting, and they're reaching out to many different areas, with not only in the city, but around the county and the region as well. Currently, we have open recruitments for police officer, lateral and entry level, dispatcher, and all of our animal service positions that are vacant. I think a lot of people think the police department, and they forget we have other bureaus and departments within the police department. So I'd like to give them, share just some of the work that they do with all of you too. Our communication center, like our police department, runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It consists of 1 manager, 4 leads, 12 dispatchers. Currently, there's 4 vacancies, and I have 1 ComTech on injury leave. Some of the functions our radio team handles, they work our primary radio channel. They work our backup channel, which officers, code enforcement, parking enforcement, Angelo Quinto crisis response team, animal services, all use those channels. They also handle all the incoming telephone calls that come in that are our calls, but as well as fire, medical, CHP, and SO calls that need to get transferred to them. They also do all the phone calls for animal services after hours and when they're closed, as well as the community response team, parking enforcement. They also handle all of the computer-aided dispatch entries. So those are basically the notes on the call. So if one of our ComTechs is on the phone and someone's giving them information, they're typing all that in. If they're working the radio, everything the officer says, they're also transcribing that and onto the call. So it's a written record of everything that's happening. They also handle our after-hours public works notifications as well. Our communications staff is very busy, and they stay busy all night. Here's just a breakdown by year of the calls for service and phone calls. So last year, our comm center took over 200,000 telephone calls into our communications center. Out of those over 200,000 calls, 86,000 of those calls resulted in a call for service where an officer had to go out. Out of those 86,000 calls, 11,535 resulted in a police report being generated. And then here's a snapshot over the last 3 years of what our calls for service looks like for our priority 1s, 2s, and 3 calls. Steadily making progress on priority 1. Those are our direct emergency calls that require immediate dispatching. And then our 2s and 3s are kind of right. Our 3s are high, but our 2s are right in the middle. And keep in mind, this data changed several years ago with the RIPA and the DOJ reporting, so some of the calls kind of moved around in terms of what their priority would be and how we track them. We also have a fully staffed records department, which consists of 1 manager, 2 leads, 7 full-time positions, and 4 part-time positions. I believe they're the only department in the whole city that's fully staffed, and they have been for quite some time. Our records team works extremely hard too. They log all of our warrants. They take care of all of our California law enforcement telecommunications systems and National Crime Index entries for the state and national level. They adhere to all the records retention laws for all of the documents that we retain. They process all of our citations. They do all of our missing person entries. They manage our online reporting portal, and they process all of our updates that come from the district attorney's office. They also handle our crime lab data entry, manage public records requests, and cover the front counter and non-emergency phone coverage during office hours. And just, let me go back a step here. They handled over 300 different Public Records Act releases last year, as well as processed 86 CCWs, concealed weapons permits, sorry. They also reviewed over 11,000 police reports, handled all the Public Records Act requests, and filed over 1,500 cases with the district attorney's office. We also have a full-time animal services department over at the police department. They handle 25 walk-ins daily, 8 spay or neuters and other surgeries every day. And our ACOs, our our animal control officers, handle between 10 and 20 calls for service per day. We have between 80 and 160 animals in the shelter on any given day. And just to kind of put that in context, the shelter is just on the other side at 20 years old. At the time it was built, it was set up for 51 dog kennels and 70 cat kennels. We are over capacity every day. The shelter has, as the city continues to grow, the shelter has not. So our staff works really hard to make sure the animals are comfortable, cared for, and have everything they need while they're in our care. Our animal services unit has 18 positions, 9 are full-time employees, the animal service manager, a supervisor, our vet, our ACOs, and our animal control staff. We currently have 3 full-time vacancies, so 1 shelter manager and 2 animal control officers. And then all out of our part-time positions, we have no vacancies. Yay! Because our part-timers work just as hard as our full-timers do. They did some fantastic work in 2025. Between the surgeries and vouchers for surgeries, they were able to do 852 spays. We replaced our walk-in cooler, which was an endeavor. I'm sure if you were watching City Council, it took a couple months to get that done. Through donations, they were able to distribute over 2,500 pounds of animal food. Through sponsors, we hosted 5 free vaccination and microchip clinics. I think everyone knows as budgets get tight and money starts to dry up for certain programs, it can be hard to take care of your animals. So we take a lot of pride in trying to help people with adoptions, with some of the fees, with vaccinations, and with microchips. We've hosted several pizza potty adoption events where we partner with a nonprofit or a different agency to bring in some food, to highlight some animals and try to get them adopted. And we also fundraise with our nonprofits and our partners to help bring adoption prices down. Excuse me, because it can get rather expensive. So let's talk about some of our statistics. Here's kind of a 4-year snapshot. We are down in a majority of categories. I talked about this a little bit at council last week. What we're seeing in our sexual assaults is with more advocacy for victims, not only in the hospitals, but through our local advocates. We're seeing more people encouraged to come forward and get a level of accountability or reporting through the police department. So we have a little spike there. And then our aggravated assaults and our crimes against persons, offenses against persons are up. We have seen a spike in some of our street assault crimes as well as our domestic violence crimes. Our crime trends are trending very similar to many of the other agencies in this region and throughout the Bay Area. So it's just a matter of watching those numbers and hope that they continue to trend in the right direction. Here's a snapshot of our shot spotter calls, and every time this slide comes up, I feel like I have to explain it because it's a little confusing. So shot spotter alerts, that's the number of activations the system receives at any given time. Incidents is where an incident gets cataloged and an officer goes out there. So the biggest reason in the difference in the numbers, one incident can have multiple activations. Cases are where an officer goes out and documents a shooting in a police report. Our non-fatal shootings are where somebody is shot, and then our shooting assaults are where something or someone is shot, but they are missed. A little bit about our traffic unit. As I said, we're continuing to build capacity in our traffic unit. Last year, we saw a 20% reduction in speed-related collisions, a 17% reduction in DUI collisions, an 8% reduction in overall collisions, and an 85% decrease in fatal collisions. And I want to take a second and just give a shout out to our traffic sergeant, Rob Green. He has been very proactive in going after traffic safety grants and working with the state and CHP so we can supplement our endeavors by utilizing and partnering with a host of different people to help bring those numbers down. He is, in essence, doing a fantastic job with the grants and trying to work within the restrictions of the unit and what they can do out there. Let's talk a little bit about our Community Connect update. This is formerly Spider Tech. The way Community Connect update works, force of habit, because we've had it for a couple years now, is anytime anyone calls the police department, they are able to opt in via text message or email to a survey that gets sent back to them at the conclusion of the call. There's a discrepancy in the just over 52,000 Community Connect updates that went out in comparison to the 86,000 calls for service that we had. If you call from a landline or a third-party app that doesn't have a callback number, you will not get an option for a survey. And yes, believe it or not, people still have landlines in their houses. So out of those 52,533 messages that went out, we received 12,500 responses, which is about an 11% response rate, which falls in line with what the company says agencies look like in terms of response. And out of those results, we had pretty good satisfaction. All of these numericals are out of a scale of 1 to 5.0. Our dispatch center, 4.6. Our response time, a 4.18. Officers, 4.6, and overall department, 4.09. We take community feedback seriously and are steadily making improvement. Our biggest complaints, response time and online reporting. So when we get a negative Community Connect update, we make it a point to reach out to them directly and see if we need to close the loop, if we could have done more. We use it as a tool to get better and improve services. Just segueing from that into our community engagement, here's a breakdown of what we have been doing in terms of years. You can see 2025 is our highest year yet. Sergeant Fashner and Officer Amiri wanted me to let you all know it's because of them. We have our highest year because their sole purpose in life is to increase our community engagement numbers. If I can share anything with them to you all, it's the same messaging that we've been sharing in our community events and at our district meetings, is if you all see or know spaces or areas where we can have conversations, we can share the good work we are doing, we can hear concerns, we would love to hear it. We would love to get into those spaces and have those conversations. Just a few updates on the DOJ. Cal DOJ, we're kind of in the same spot we were in last year. We have our first meeting of the year this Thursday with Cal DOJ. Hopefully we'll get an update on where we're at and what it's looking like. Our US DOJ, we're moving on several areas in that agreement and have been since before it was implemented. In the area of training, we've done department-wide procedural justice training as well as ABLE training, and that's the video you saw right before we started the presentation. We completed the policy review and are getting ready to modify the policy manual and send it out along with a training program. Hiring and recruiting, we've already made changes to and have been working with HR on those changes. And then Mr. Sapal will give a more detailed presentation. I don't want to steal his thunder. City Council recently approved the negotiated settlement, the Allen versus City of Antioch case that we have been working on for the better part of a year and a half. The final draft went before the judge several weeks ago, and the judge gave it back to the attorneys for some edits, nothing of concern, and we're just waiting for the final to get wrapped up. Substation. I think everybody saw, and everyone is welcome to attend. March 11th will be the grand opening, 5:30 to 7, 1084 Sycamore Drive in the Sycamore Shopping Center. Excuse me, we should have flyers up and on our website tomorrow, I'm hoping, knock on wood. So be there. Here's just a handful of our accomplishments from 2025. The list was very long. I could probably spend another hour just talking individually about everything that we accomplished last year because it was a lot. The RIMS rollout was huge. The website has been up and down a couple times in the last 6 months because we want it to be very specific to us and not cookie cutter or something that other cities or agencies are using. So that will continue to be a work in progress. Updated equipment. Our field training manual was updated, complies with POST, and was approved by POST at the close of last year, which is a huge accomplishment because that needs to happen every couple of years. And then increase in staffing. Like I mentioned earlier, we were able to move another traffic officer into the traffic division. I was also able to move detectives into the detective unit and put another person on the set team. So as we continue to hire and recruit, we are expanding capacity so we can better serve the community. And here's just a couple of other things that we do. Our downtown collaboration efforts continue to move forward, as do our collaboration efforts with BNSF, Union Pacific Railroad, PG&E, Caltrans, and all of our other partners that are in and around the community. The plan is to try to work as effectively as possible to address quality of life issues before they become serious concerns. And just if I can share some of our goals for this year, two of them in particular I want to point out. Well, three. Our continued partnership with AUSD. We're continuing to work with them and find ways where we can partner with them, with the schools, to make things better on their end, but to educate and be familiar faces around different campuses. Where's the other one? The post-team building. I make it a point to talk about that. Last year, we applied for a grant through Post. The team building is it's not free. It can be rather expensive. Last year, we were accepted and awarded the grant for the team building, which took place week before last. And I was able to take all of the staff sergeants and above to that. Just to put that into perspective, we have not had a team building in almost 7 years. The last one we had was very different. It was very structured. It was very planned out. This was more so very organic and required participation, vulnerability, professionalism, and communication. But I think the most important thing regarding that training was it was hosted by a retired chief who went through a very similar events that we had went through several years ago. So he spoke from a place of experience, from knowledge, and was able to give the staff insight. The reason I bring that up is the plan is we're talking about all these things we're doing for the officers, for the staff, to move the department forward. I also want to take that same approach with our supervisors and our management team, our sworn and our non-sworn. So it's not just focused on the patrol officers. The same expectation exists for everyone, from the lowest level to the highest level, myself included. And the last thing we did is we just applied for the California Accreditation for Public Safety program in California, which is new. We're hoping to be one of the first agencies to get enrolled in the program. Many times you see accreditation programs throughout the United States that are very standard. Sometimes they have unattainable goals for small to mid-sized agencies. There's staffing requirements that can alter how you move through that process, and there is quite a bit of money attached to that as a commitment. The California Accreditation for Public Safety program is something developed by Post in conjunction with California Police Chiefs Association as a means to have an accreditation in the state of California specific to California. So that's something we hope to be enrolled in and participating with, hopefully before summertime. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, I noticed that and I heard from some community members, there's another grant called Cal VIP, which is meant to reduce violence prevention. Is the department going to apply for that again?
The department already did, and it was awarded.
Okay.
The Department of Public Safety is the, I don't want to say main point of contact, but they're the ones who applied for the grant, were issued the grant, and use it for their programming. We do share some of that programming and work with them on that grant, yes.
Any other questions?
No other questions.
I'm gonna go down. Oh, perfect. I'll start down the line.
Hi. On the slide with the statistics, could you go back to that real quick?
Yes.
So I see that there was a significant increase in adult arrests, up 44%, and crimes against property are down significantly. I understand correlation isn't always causation, but have you noticed any relationship with the exception of looking at the crimes against persons, with the exception of rape, because I understand the explanation you gave earlier, with the increase for aggravated assault and offenses against persons, have you noticed any relationship with the decrease of juvenile arrests?
Yes, so we partner with, and I think Reach gave a presentation late last year. Obviously, if it's the desire of the commission, we can have them come back. They help us a lot with the juvenile diversion, not only within the department, but with at the county level too. They have and always have remained very engaged with our juvenile crimes. They also work with the school district. So anytime we see plus or negative numbers there, we have a conversation with our REACH advocates and staff. In regards to our adult numbers being up, as it's up for a few reasons. One of them is capacity. This is probably the most police officers we've had on the streets and detectives working cases than we've had in the last 4 years. Also taking that partnership and other partnerships in the county to plan and package cases and arrests together so we can have a greater measure of accountability, not only in the city, but regionally as well. And task force helps supplement that. So those are a couple of reasons we're seeing the increases and the decreases in those areas.
Okay, thank you. And a question on, I guess, what is an offense against persons specifically?
It would be an assault. It could be a theft.
Okay. I think my last question would be about the substation. So that's the Sycamore corridor, correct?
Correct.
I'm wondering if like, I wonder, my concern would be if crime in that area is effectively deterred, or if it might inadvertently be, I guess, relocated. Like, I wonder if maybe people will migrate downtown or the Delta Fair areas instead of, congregating in front of the Sycamore substation when it opens.
Yeah, we'll watch the crime trends in that area. The plan is to do a comparison a year from opening, and then compare the numbers, see what it looks like. A big component of Citizen RIMS, and a lot of people don't know this, is there's a crime mapping tool on there where you can see specifically in the city, in a neighborhood, within a certain geographical circle, if you will, what the crimes look like, what the crime trends look like. So we will be paying very close attention to all of the crime mapping data in that area from when the substation opens until this time next year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation, Chief. I just had a couple questions. My first one, you mentioned that traffic is still the #1 complaint in our city. What are some of those complaints like for traffic? Is it
speeding?
Yeah, okay, I figured as much. And how are some of those things going to be resolved? You said we have new traffic enforcement officers, but like, what kind of measures are being put into place to like remedy some of the speeding? You said that there was a grant out that Sergeant Rob Green is going after. What are some of the remedies that can come from that grant?
A lot of education as well as enforcement. We have a couple of grants that we're utilizing right now. One of them is specifically for driving impaired. Another one, there's pieces of it for pedestrian safety. I know some of you have been out to several of our pedestrian safety, bicycle rodeos, pedestrian safety exercises that we run at some of the schools and at some of our events to educate pedestrians. There's the enforcement piece, which requires the officers going out and citing people who speed, but we're also looking at red light cameras and speed cameras.
Okay. And we do have red light cameras currently, like on all, no, okay.
We do not.
I feel like I asked that before. Okay. Still, okay. And then, thank you for that. And we talked about our numbers, and I might have brought this up to you before, but what are some of the retainment initiatives like for keeping officers here once they're hired and past their probationary period to stay on force? Has that been looked into more, like some of the desires to stay in Antioch? Are we offering any?
I believe that's a work in progress between the bargaining groups and the city's negotiating team.
Okay. And then I have one more question. So for the feedback surveys, how long are they active for people, or do they just get back to them whenever? Okay, because I was thinking if someone's having a trauma involved event.
They get the link, and the link is good.
Okay. And then my last question is the sexual assault advocacy. Are those some local groups that are doing a lot of this work to get those numbers like lowered?
We're seeing them everywhere. I don't want to say too much without saying too much, but if somebody goes to a hospital or shares with their licensed clinician, hey, I was in Antioch in 2018 and this happened, well, you should probably call the police and report it.
Mm-hmm.
And they call the police and report it. And that's not specific to Antioch or this area, that's everywhere. I think with the increase in advocacy and advocates at hospitals, through licensed clinicians, through places like the Family Justice Center here in our county, people are encouraged to reach out.
Okay. Oh, that was it. Okay, thank you. I had another question, but I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Lacey Oha, and I can come back. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe you have asked my questions, but that's okay. Chief, I'm glad that you have explained that it is more than just advocates and advocacy that are involved in the report of rape. Because that was going to be a question I was going to ask. Hospitals, I know they are required to report those crimes. But what I really wanted to ask is the offenses against persons. I just wanted to get a clear understanding. This involves either, theft or assaults?
Yes, and the biggest spike that we're seeing here is the family fights.
Okay, thank you.
And the domestic violence numbers also pop up, are aggravated assault numbers as well.
That. Thank you.
Again, I should have said that in the beginning, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Then going back to the animals, I'm an animal lover, but
we have cats.
Right.
Come and get 4 or 5.
But I noticed it stated on the report that APD Animal Services receive 10 to 20 calls per day. So do you know if that, well, I know I have made a couple of phone calls. Now, do you know if that's related to stray dogs running around in the city of Antioch, or can it be related to dogs constantly barking in someone's backyard?
All of the above.
Okay. Also,
anything dog related during their work hours, anything animal related during their work hours, they handle. If it's after hours or when they're not here, the police department handles.
Okay, and then I have one last question, because I did have to make a call while I was away, because I saw the dog running in my driveway on my Ring camera. When someone calls to report that there is a loose animal running on their property, do you know what is the response time like?
It depends.
Okay.
So if it's during normal business hours and there's an ACO available and working, an ACO will get dispatched to that call.
Okay.
If an ACO is not working or it's after hours, that call would pen for an officer. Depending on what the officer's, a loose dog call is not high on the priority list, so it could pen a while. It depends on what's happening in the city.
Okay. And then one last question. You stated that the biggest complaints, if I heard you correctly, it was response time? Now,
Correct.
Does that mean if someone call in and it's taking too long for an officer to come out to that particular location?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for answering my questions. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chief. One quick question related to Cal DOJ, and I know that there's things that you probably can't talk about, but given that we have the DOJ agreement, given that we have the agreement that was reached with Allen et al., Is any of this in our favor when it comes to Cal DOJ's investigations?
Go ahead.
Sorry, could you rephrase that question? I don't think I follow exactly what.
So we have an agreement with the US DOJ, which we
Yes.
are making progress on.
Yes.
We have the agreement that was just reached and has some minor edits with Tret, Allen, et cetera.
Yes.
All of this is progress in the right direction. Is this something that is helpful for us with Cal DOJ?
I can say that I believe so, but the only person who can answer the only people who can answer those questions are the folks at Cal DOJ.
Understood, understood. And then one other quick question, and I realize this is related to the number of staff available. Is there a goal to reinstate the Citizens Academy, the Police Citizens Academy at some point?
Yeah, we've talked about it kind of off and on as our numbers have fluctuated. I think this year would probably be the later part of this year. If we were going to bring it back, that's when it would happen. That's when I envision it happening. It's always in and around our conversations of, hey, the Citizens Academy, the cadet program, the chaplains program. So yes, no, it has been on our radar, and the sooner we can bring it back, the better.
Great, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Two more questions. Thank you, Chief, for the presentation again. Two quick questions. I noticed that you on the earlier when you said that we have recruits in both Cocoa County and Alameda County. I'm just curious, how do you shape culture when there are recruits in two different county academies?
So the academy is set up just to give them the basic skills to do the job. When we hire a recruit, prior to them going to the academy, they come to the police department and they're already working in the police department as a trainee. They're getting exposed to a host of different things. There's a training schedule that's set up for them so they can start learning the culture, seeing what the police department's all about before they even go to the academy. When they come back from the academy, they spend 2 to 3 weeks back on a very similar training schedule within the police department before they even start the field training program, where we are now, hey, you have the very basics from the academy. Now we're going to show you how to use those and apply those in the real world. When they come back from the academy, they also go through our ABLE class, and they go through procedural justice and principal policing, so they know what the expectations are when they come back.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
And one
You
last
said second.
Yeah, one more question. So when the recruits are in the academy, what kind of support does the department offer while they're in the academy?
A lot.
Okay.
So we have our training sergeant, Price Kendall, who a lot of you know, and Joe Jirogi, the lieutenant over personnel and training, make regular visits out to the academy. Okay. They also have everyone that they've met up to that point going to the academy is a resource for them, and they get classes and are exposed to our wellness training, and they have access to that as a trainee and while they're in the academy for physical, emotional, any kind of support they might need.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more question. This slipped my mind earlier. Are you able to let us know whether we, APOC Commission, are we able to attend the Cal DOJ meeting that's coming up on Thursday?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, just a few from me. For the response times, I do see like over the years that we decreased our response time from 13 minutes to around still kind of averaging 12. And then I know that we didn't have the highest capacity. So with us retaining more officers, what is our goal response time for priority ones?
5 minutes. 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 5 minutes.
Sub 10 minutes
10?
for a start. Yeah, to start.
And priority ones are our highest emergencies.
Correct.
Is that standard for this size city?
I haven't looked at comparable to our size city because everybody's staffing numbers are different. I think we've talked about before, for a city our size, our police departments, the numbers are lower than they should be. So
Right.
I don't know if that would be an accurate reflection based on our call volume. I will definitely look into it.
Thank you. And then, and again, if you are able to answer, because it is in regards to the DOJ, I know that you mentioned that you are working on like some hiring practices, changes within the hiring practices. Are you able to speak to that?
There, through the U.S. DOJ agreement, do you have that in your presentation? Oh, perfect.
We shall wait.
I don't want to steal his thunder.
That's okay. Yes, we have. Yes, thank you. And for our Community Connect surveys, how often are we analyzing the data and then adjusting?
Every day, once a week, once a month. We get snapshots from the company. I probably get anywhere between 3 to 15 emails from them a day.
Wow.
One survey can have, and in those 3 emails, it's the surveys. I also get a breakdown from the company in different time slots. We can set it up any way we want. But in those emails, the up to 15 I get today, there are multiple Connect responses in that one email. So I'm seeing real time what the feedback is from the people, from the officers and the CSOs who are working. So our lieutenants do a good job, our patrol supervisors do a good job of following up, sharing information and making adjustments as needed. They do all of the follow-up.
Is it like an overall adjustment, meaning if you're seeing trends, is there some kind of formal process of a training, or are you guys just case by case?
Case by case.
And then you mentioned for the post team building training that it was the first in 7 years.
Yes.
Is this annual now?
So it is very expensive to do one. So I think the plan moving forward, we will do a check-in. The team has agreed in continuing to utilize this individual directly. Next year it'll be probably somewhat modified. We won't need as much time as we did this year, as long as we're moving forward and we're all on the same page. And then year after that, so every other year we would apply for the grant again and try to do the larger multi-day training.
And for the California accreditation program that you spoke about, the one that was developed by Post?
Yes.
Do you know where you're at in the process?
Application submitted, interest card we submitted earlier this year. We're just waiting on a response. Cal Chiefs president gave a presentation at the County Chiefs Conference at the end of January, who said they would be opening it up the later part of winter, early spring. My intention when he told us that was I wanted us to be first.
I think that would be nice. And then do we have a direct community partner organization that the police department is working with specific to sexual assaults?
I would have to follow up with my sexual assault detectives. I know we utilize STAND as well as the FJC on this side of the county. More deeper dive than that, I'd have to reference them.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions.
I'm sorry.
You can go first.
I have one more question. This is, to me, is a very important topic because it's happening all over. There has been incidents in the Bay Area recently, but human trafficking. I don't want to ask are you aware of any incidents, but what category would that fall under if there was a report of human trafficking here in the city of Antioch?
It would be categorized as, well, yes, there's human trafficking as a standalone crime against a person, but when you break it down, the sexual assault, if there's rape, those are different crime categories. I will say we do a good job of partnering with the task force at the federal level. because they have more resources and a bit larger arm of accountability than we do. But we also work with our county DA's task force in that as well. So I think there's a couple different ways it can get broken down. It just kind of depends on how we're looking at it.
Is there a hotline? Have Antioch Police Department established a hotline where people can call and report human trafficking?
I believe we use the county and the federal hotline for the state.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and my final question, because I would be remiss if I didn't ask this one. You mentioned the quality of life under collaboration with Ben NSF, UPRR, PG&E, Caltrans, and then Chevron. What kind of quality of life? Can you just elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I think it's everything that's happening in and around freeway on-ramps, freeway overpasses, the railroad tracks.
Okay. I thought we were talking about environmental.
Nope.
Something. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Just a quick piggyback off of Commissioner Oha. So in looking at the statistics, the crime type that she had mentioned is broken down in several categories within this? Or is it within this at all?
To ask specifically about human trafficking, if that's all we're talking about human trafficking, it will be a crime against persons.
Okay, that's what I was wondering when I was looking at the numbers. Is it? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there public comment?
No public comments, thank you.
Thank you. And then on to our United States Department of Justice settlement agreement.
You want the clicker, or do you want me to pop it through? You're up in the queue. Let me know if you have any AV issues. Be happy to fix them.
All right, perfect. All right, good evening, Police Commission. I'm very happy to be here today to provide an overview, a 180-day update on where we are with our compliance with the US DOJ agreement. One of the things that I'll just mention off the top is that for the most part over the course of, I think this is
You
out of
go forward
batteries,
one?
perhaps.
Is there on button?
It is on. Here we go. All right. So one of the things that I will mention is, as we get to this point in time with the 180-degree update, the department's actually doing a pretty fantastic job in terms of maintaining compliance and being fairly forward-thinking. You know, I will say that you can look at this agreement in terms of process. You can look at it in terms of procedures, but really it boils down to people. And it's really trying to create this culture where people feel valued and respected, not just internally, but to those in the community. And slowly but surely, from what I've observed, the department is certainly making good strides in that. So as I explained tonight, we'll talk about some of the key areas in this agreement, but I want you to bear in mind that this is fairly simplified. If you look at the agreement, you're going to find that under each one of these overarching headings, there's numerous tasks and other pieces to this. So this is just a kind of a general overview. My job as the monitor is to evaluate compliance. That's essentially what I do. One of the nice things about the way this agreement was written is it does allow me to at least offer some recommendations and some advice and guidance, and the department's been really good about using that as a springboard for conversation. And quite frankly, there's a pretty good team in that department, so it's not like I have to do a lot of talking, which is nice to see. Ultimately, the goal for everyone in this room, in this community, is to make sure the department succeeds. The department will be better for it. The community will be better for it. So if we kind of dive in here, one of the aspects of the agreement that had to be completed was an update on policies, directives, and training. And what you'll notice is a lot of these were due at the end of November of 2025. Happy to report that the department is in compliance. They turned everything they needed to turn in. And as I go through this, one of the things that I'll point out is every item, every piece of work the department was required to send into the Department of Justice has been approved. And it's been approved without any changes. So the Department of Justice hasn't come back and said, okay, wait a minute, you know, we see you've done A, B, C, and D, but you need to add X, Y, and Z. There hasn't been any of that, which is really good to see. So policies that were reviewed that were either tangentially or directly aligned with the agreement have been reviewed. In fact, APOC is very well familiar with that because there's been a policy review committee. I will tell you that from my perspective, it's been a very good experience because you get the community perspective. I think it's really important to be able to look at a technical policy from a layperson's perspective and understand it, to see if it makes sense, to see if it resonates with the community, to see is it really serving the needs, because it isn't just the needs of the department, it's the needs of the community. And I think those conversations have led to some very good, solid working policies. I think that over time, those will probably become the benchmark for most agencies. So it's really good to see. The training piece, so the department was tasked with doing two things. One was providing interim training to the entire department on principal policing and procedural justice. And the deadline for that was in July of 2025, and they were required to provide 8 hours of training internally, and they did that. Every department employee, sworn officer, has gone through that training. The second portion to this was there is an international association of directors of law enforcement standards and training that have a certification for certain types of training, and that had to be provided within a 2-year period. Well, we've been hitting some challenges with that because this certification is sort of nebulous. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 certified instructors in California, and none of them teach principal policing or procedural justice. The good news, however, is that we have a few folks in the department, Sergeant Kendall Price and actually Chief Vigil, who both meet the requirements to qualify for that certification. And so they're in the process of doing that. I think Sergeant Price has to take 1 class, and once that's done, he'll be certified to teach it. And it's a fantastic thing because, one, you have the ability to do this as many times as you want or need to in perpetuity for as long as those folks are here. And then the second thing is, I think from a regional perspective, when you're setting the benchmark, it's a good place to be when you can actually leverage that to help other agencies as well. So we're moving forward on that, and that's on track. The other portion to this was we had to put together a plan, a document on department practices for recruitment and retention. So one of the things we were just talking about was recruitment and retention. So the department had to put a plan together. It's fairly comprehensive, and it talks about how you go forward with recruiting and retaining employees. And for the recruitment piece, a lot of that has to do with making inroads with the schools, leveraging your community contacts to try to have folks in the community to apply and be interested in policing. But the other part to this is the retention piece. And, retention, it's not necessarily always about, money and benefits. I mean, that's important, but a big part of this is making sure employees feel like they're valued and they're respected and they're part of something that's far greater than themselves. And one of the things that I've noticed in the department is, you'll notice with Chief Vigil in particular, one of the things he talks about when he does his presentations, it isn't just about the process, but it's about people. Right, so you mentioned one of the sergeants, Sergeant Rob Green, and he constantly sends out affirmation to his employees that are doing the right thing. And I kind of see that sort of trickling down in the organization. I think that's super important because that's a huge part of the foundation for retention. You want to make sure that you have a supportive and respectful environment, that you have folks that believe in that type of a culture, that the supervisors are very well engaged. I was actually there for the team building workshop and kind of watched, and I can see that there's a lot of folks in this department that have stuck with the department for a very long period of time over all the ups and downs. And so that does create a special bond. And I think that they're able to leverage that with a lot of these newer folks coming in to sort of keep them on the right track. And that's about building culture. So I think from my perspective, from the outsider looking in, all those things seem to be working as they should be. The next part, and this is the area that we're kind of working through, because there's a lot of data in the police department. And one of the requirements is that we have to collect this data and analyze it, not just from stop data, the RIPA data, but from calls for service. And part of the challenge with police departments is there's different systems that don't talk to each other. And so they require some manual processing. An analyst actually has to extract this data and then make sense out of it. And so right now we're the city's in the process of seeking and recruiting an analyst, a statistical and policy analyst, whose main purpose is going to be to take this data, extract it, and put it together in some form that makes sense, right? And hopefully will help us determine, are we where we need to be? Do we need to make changes? I'll give you a basic example. There's a racial disparity index. So we can take stop data and we can assess those values based on the demographics in the community. Those give you a certain range. They don't necessarily always indicate there's bias. What they do mean is that if you're seeing some disparity in the numbers, that you have more data you need to collect, to analyze. And that's one of the areas that we're working through. Until we get an analyst on board, that is not going to be locked in. So as it stands, we're pulling the data, we're analyzing it to the best of our ability, but to really have something that's going to be, I think, transformative in nature and really embedded in the department, it's going to take someone that has a very special skill set. So I'm happy to report that that is in progress, and hopefully at some point this year we'll have someone on board for that, with that capability. The next section deals with complaints and misconduct. So one of the things that we had to do was update the complaint policy. If I remember correctly, with the policy review committee from the police commission, that was one of the policies that took a lot of time. It's probably one of the more lengthy policies. It's fairly robust, but there were a couple of issues that had popped up that we needed to address. And one of them, I think, had to do with ensuring that when someone makes a complaint to the department, they get some feedback, that there's some kind of a feedback loop. They get notified that we've got the complaint, we're working on it, and then at some point that loop is closed when they get the final disposition. And so even things as basic as that are very important. There was a review required for the folks that are in Professional Standards Bureau to make sure that they're not involved in internal affairs cases themselves. They're not subjects of any investigations, that they have a proven track record of integrity and service to the community and not getting into trouble. And so those reviews have been done. We also have to develop some internal affairs procedures. There's a draft of that was completed by the department earlier this week. So once that gets finalized, that'll be sent over to the Department of Justice for evaluation. And there has to be a mechanism in place for tracking investigations. So currently the department does use software to do that. There's already a fairly robust mechanism in place for doing that. That wasn't mine. So, and so that was due at the end of November, and it's been completed, with the exception of the IA procedures, which should be completed within the next few weeks. The next one is a language access plan. This was a fairly robust document, and really it was due at the end of November. It's been completed and turned in and has been approved. And basically, the purpose of this policy or this plan is to ensure that folks within the community that have limited English proficiency have access to services. So in this community, you've got about 63% of the population that speaks English, about 23.7, 24% that speak Spanish, about 9% that are Asian languages, the top being Tagalog and Vietnamese. And then you've got about 4% that are Indo-European languages, Arabic, Dari, Farsi, Hindi, and Punjabi. And so this may be something that might be tackled on a more regional front with the city, because the city is providing services to the community. And so there's going to be some portion of a heavy lift for this policy, just because there's an investment included. We do a pretty good job, I think, in the city of interpretation. Like, we can provide interpreter services. That is in place. It works fairly well. There's two areas that we need to focus on. One is American Sign Language. We got to sort of figure out a way to make sure that that is seamless, because right now I think it relies on folks that actually can sign, but if they're not necessarily available at that specific time, that may create an issue, and generally that requires some kind of video capability. So we're going to work through that. And then the other piece to this is to ensure that we have written literature. People should know how to make a complaint. They should know how to fill out a complaint form. They should be able to get these in their native language so that we don't have to necessarily translate. So that's a work in progress. It's a fairly comprehensive plan. I think out of everything the department has to do, this is probably going to be the one that's going to take a little bit more time because it has to be well thought out. Community engagement. So there's a community engagement plan that was completed. One of the requirements from the Department of Justice was to ensure we had a community liaison officer within 2 years. It was 240 days, if I remember correctly. And that was done very early on. So we have Officer Amiri and Sergeant Fashner, which are both with the Community Engagement Unit. Both are doing incredible work, way ahead of schedule with that. And then there was also a community engagement plan that was put together that sort of spells out many of the things that they're already doing, but it just puts them on paper. And so that was approved by the Department of Justice, and the department is exactly where it needs to be with that effort. This slide really provides kind of an overview, a snapshot of where we are. If you take a look at these different dimensions from the consultant all the way down to the self-assessment and compliance report, which was a report that the department was required to turn in at the end of November and did, and it was approved. It was essentially an inward look at the organization to see where they are relative to the agreement and where they need to go. And so that was turned in. The department is required to do one of those about every 6 months. The next one is due at the end of April. And so now the department will look back since the beginning of the agreement and take a better look inward to see where they've made strides and where they need to do some more work. And it's an honest evaluation of where the department is. And so that was completed and turned into the Department of Justice. It's been approved. But what you'll notice is with the training, everything in orange, the recruitment or retention plan, language access plan, and community engagement, those are all still being worked on, right? There's still work that needs to be done. And we have to make sure we don't slip in any of the other areas. That's the other piece to this. This is just kind of a visual description of the different aspects of the agreement. There's substantial compliance with the consultant. That would be me. If you look within Section 3A, you'll notice there's a whole variety of tasks that the consultant is required to do. And so we're in compliance. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I want to make sure that continues. And then if you go down the list, you'll find that the one area that we're in partial compliance of is the non-discriminatory policing permanent training, and that's the IDLIST training that I mentioned. So we've done the internal 8-hour training, so there is something that was done that was approved by the Department of Justice, and now we just need to move forward with the more permanent substantive training. Again, data collection, we're in partial compliance. Do we have data? Yes. Are we gathering the data? Yes. Is it being completely analyzed? At this point, no. And so that's what we're working towards. A big part of this first year of the agreement was really doing a self-assessment and seeing where the organization was. That's a part of it. And then the other piece was building a foundation, and that's what the department has done. So this year, we're going to be implementing, and that's what the department will do. And then next year, we're going to start monitoring to see whether we're able to maintain that for 12 months. As you'll see, the language access plan, the plan's been done. We're in partial compliance. That has to be implemented. And then the community engagement plan, we're in substantial compliance with that. Just based on what the chief presented, 180, I believe, plus engagement activities that the department's been engaged in. It's phenomenal. I think it's gonna go up and up as time goes by. Again, just another visual description. Everything in green is what's been completed. We just have to make sure we maintain it. And then those items that are in blue are just areas that we still have to continue the work over the course of the agreement. So next steps, that International Association of Directors of Law Enforcement Standards and Training certification, that's going to take place with a third-party consultant. That's one of the next things that has to be completed. We're going to continue with implementing the community engagement plan, same with the language access plan, as I mentioned, and then the racial disparity index calculations. Those are being done, but we need an analyst function really to kind of delve into that data and make it more meaningful. We're going to continue monitoring internal affairs cases for use of force and bias. Any cases that involve the use of force or bias-based policing go to the Department of Justice. So within 10 days of completing those investigations, whether they're sustained or not, they go to the Department of Justice for review. And so that's on a rolling basis. So we're doing that. I will say that in 2025, there were no complaints received by the department on bias or discrimination. Next step is going to be to hire an analyst, maintain compliance with data collection. That's moving forward. And then the department did complete the first self-assessment report, and the next one is going to be completed by the end of April. As we continue forward, really one of the main areas that the department needs to focus on is ensuring that we have fair, respectful, and unbiased policing. A big part of that for these non-discriminatory policing requirements is you don't want to over-police, you don't want to under-police, right? It should not be based on who you are, where you come from. And that's going to be spelled out clearly in policies and through training and through direction. And all of these have been supported by the police department thus far. We have our compliance and compliance professional standards division. The department and the city have actually been fairly forward-thinking in assigning folks specific to carry out and implement this agreement. Sort of just, I'll just say as a side note, there's another agency in the Bay Area, a fairly big agency that's been under an agreement or decree for the last 20 years. And they just now assigned someone to be in charge of that agreement, right? So the city here has been very proactive in that regard. So you've got a captain, a lieutenant, a sergeant, two community liaison folks, an officer and a supervisor. We're going to be getting a data and statistical policy analyst. That should be coming. And then we're supported by our favorite assistant city attorney here, Mr. Kundiger. And all that points to a very successful collaboration. Everyone's working together to ensure that this agreement isn't just a set of tasks that are completed, but they're really embedded into the culture of the organization. So there's a typo on this slide. The termination of this agreement is not 2 years of compliance, it's 12 months, 12 continuous months of compliance. We're 2 years away from that minimum 3-year mark. I think we're making very good progress. I don't see any reason why when we hit year 3, we won't be monitoring and watching to make sure that we're firing on all cylinders and ensuring that the agreement is being carried forward as it should. So far we're on the path to success. I don't have anything negative to say. I think so far the work that the city and the department and the commission has been doing is fantastic. Takeaways, there's a very strong emphasis on civil rights, and that's been a consistent theme from the time this agreement was drafted and signed until now. We want to make sure that there's clear timelines and measurable goals with all the compliance efforts, making very good strides with community engagement, and then we're monitoring and making adjustments as needed. It's a daily process. But the department does have good bandwidth at this point in time, especially with the compliance and professional standards division. And so my final thoughts, I think probably one of the more successful things that I've seen over the course of my career in general is having a police commission and a department that are working together. And this policy review committee is a perfect example of that. I think there was some fairly robust discussions, very differing viewpoints, but in the end, everyone understood what we were trying to do and where we were trying to go. And I think those cemented themselves in some fairly robust, good policies that are beneficial both to the organization and to the community. We're seeing a dramatic increase in community engagement. I try to attend as many of the community events as I can, and I can see it. It's very genuine and organic, not just from the department, but from the community side as well. And I think that that's a great baseline to be on. And right now, the department is on track with all of the essentials in the agreement. One of the things that I was concerned about, I'm actually very happy today to see almost a full commission. I was a little bit concerned because we hadn't met, I think, since December maybe. It's been a while. And so, based on my experience with that policy review committee, it's become very clear to me that APOC is very important and central to these reforms. And so I'm just happy to see that we have a full commission and we'll be moving forward with good momentum. And I'm here to answer any questions I can.
Start on this end?
Oh, you're going to start on this end.
I
Okay. Thank you very much. So just a couple of questions. So when we talk about the policies and all the things that have been submitted to the Department of Justice, is that accessible to members of the public?
They will be. So I think the plan is to put those on the website, on the transparency page of the department website. I think there's some hiccups with the website at the moment, but those should all be accessible and available fairly soon.
Great, thank you. And then when we look at the compliance and the timeframes, and we go back to the charts where we have the blue and the orange. So since we only have 4 categories that are still with a little bit of orange, are we at that point of, the clock starts for 12 months of compliance? Or do we have to have every area in the blue range?
Everything has to be in the blue range.
Okay.
Everything's got to be implemented and working, because we can't conduct a fair evaluation if we've written a plan but it has not yet been implemented. And so we're still we've laid the foundation. Now we're in the building phase, and once all those things are in the blue, they're done, then we'll start monitoring.
And then when we start to talk about that analyst position, is that, which of these 4 categories are they going to be working in the most? Is that going to be the community engagement piece? Or we've got training, recruitment, language access, and community engagement. And I'm assuming that community engagement is going to be one of those pieces where the analyst is going to be working?
Actually be all of them.
All of it?
It'll be all of
Okay.
them, yeah. I mean, it's one thing for a monitor to be in place to see this on a daily basis and say, yes, we're in compliance. Completely another 4 years from now, when questions are asked or something pops up where there is data available from everything that we're doing to say, yes, we're still making strides, we're making positive momentum, we're meeting the marks, or we're not. And so the department can't make good decisions and adjust if they don't have good data.
And do we know what kind of time frame we're on for the hiring of the analyst at this point?
You? We're thinking, where are we at, March? We're thinking end of April, beginning of May.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner Hall, you have questions?
I just have one question regarding community engagement. I see that the plan had been completed, but the implementation of it is still in progress. So I was wondering if you could answer this question on how long will that implementation of it, how long will that take? Is that going to take an additional like 6 months to 12 months, or?
No, I think one of the aspects that the department is working on really well is a community engagement piece. But there's a lot of moving parts to that plan. I think once it becomes available, you'll see, because APOC actually has a portion in that plan that's very important. Part of I think the challenge for the department is they're making great strides in building relationships, but there are going to be some communities, some neighborhoods where they're going to struggle with even getting into that space and having a conversation. I think that's where APOC really has to leverage their community contacts and their charm and their charisma in order to kind of help them get into that space. So is the plan completed? Yes. Is it completely implemented? I would say no. But out of everything the department is doing, that's probably one of the ones where the gap is going to be bridged fairly easily and quickly.
So where those gaps are, do you know if those gaps will involve APOC? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because oftentimes we don't know about the community engagement events. I know, well, let's say last year, there was some that we were not aware of until after the fact. So, and I just wanted to make sure that it's understood that we, as the commission, it's important that we know what's going on and the time and location and everything.
I would agree. I think that's a fairly easy fix. So we can work on making sure that that communication is passed out from the department.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Manjeet.
You're welcome.
And great question, Commissioner Lacey Oha. I was just going to say that, as a member of the ad hoc committee for community trust and engagement, I think we have to kind of get more creative on how we design some of these events moving forward, as far as really getting in there and engaging with the community that you mentioned. Some folks might be a little hesitant to joining, but I know that one of the ways I think would be a really great event was to have like some listening sessions, of course, maybe with just us commissioners at first, and then bringing in some folks from APD. And I would like to invite you, of course, Manjeet, to some of those events. But how long are you going to be in Antioch?
Best case scenario, by the end of year 3.
Year 3.
And then we'll evaluate from there. Now, we do have this other agreement coming up, so I think there's going to be some crossover with that. And there's a lot more data-related aspects to that agreement, so we'll kind of see how that works out. You know, really my goal is to get the department in compliance and maintain compliance, and so that I'm not needed. I mean, really, that's sort of the benchmark of success. The reality is there's always going to be ups and downs and cycles for things. Staffing is a huge issue, right? It's getting better. That can change. You just never know with the job market and everything else. So, you know, am I trying to stay here forever? No, absolutely not. But I do want to make sure that to the degree that I can be a benefit and help the department and the community that I'm here.
Okay. And then, yeah, I was thinking like Chair Taylor and I had a conversation about some of the newer officers that are on, and we don't really know them. But it would be great to have them come to our meetings and maybe plan some events with some of the new hires, just so that they get familiarized with, you know, the community and the commissioners. I think that would be a good step forward. Yeah. I think that's all I had, really. This is great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pass it to Addison.
Do you have questions? Questions?
Just one question, because I'm still kind of getting adjusted to this. I'm new. So I guess question to the city attorney. Is it like in the APOC's purview to look at the internal affairs procedures, the draft eventually?
I believe that for the procedures, that's something that the policy group has already looked at. Or is that what your question is when it comes to the policy, or what do you mean by procedures, I guess is?
I think that was in the presentation. One second.
Might be able to jump in. So we do have a personal complaint policy that was reviewed by the department and the commission, and then changes were made. The internal affairs procedures has not yet been shared with APOC, and essentially that takes the policy and breaks it down for the investigators within the department. These are the things you need to look for. These are the things you need to think about. These are the things you shall do. And so I don't see any issue with not sharing that. I would caution, though, that before we share anything, we want to make sure that it's reviewed by the city attorney, by the city manager. Then it goes to the Department of Justice. And once they approve it, then we can release it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the only question that I had was regarding Price. You said his training, he needs one more class. Is he scheduled for the class?
I believe he is, yes.
Okay. Is there a time frame?
That I don't know, but I can find out.
Chief?
I want to say, I believe it's early spring.
That sounds right.
He needed a class that I already have, so I think it's the update.
I want to say May,
That sounds
but
right.
I'm not positive.
And then after that class, then you will be eligible for the certification.
Correct.
And so you'll have to sign up and go through a separate process.
No, once he's received the certification, then whatever training we put together, we'll have that attached to it, because he will be certified to provide training in that regard. And so I don't believe that we'll need to do anything else.
Oh, so for that area after May tentatively, y'all will be in compliance in that area?
Well, we'll be able to provide the training, and we have to provide the training every 2 years. It's got to be done every 2 years, and then for every new hire, I don't remember the exact time frame. I want to say within 180 days that they also have to have the training. So once that scheduling gets worked out, then we will be in compliance.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mhm. Is there any public comment?
No public comment, thank you.
Funny.
Commissioner Portia Taylor, I'm sorry, Chairperson Portia Taylor. It's been a long day. I would like to ask that request a break at this time, if that's. Okay, I would like to put a motion on the floor that we take a 10-minute break.
10-minute recess. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Devin called first. Second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioja?
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Taylor.
Yes.
The motion passes for a break at 8 o'clock.
Calling the Antioch Police Oversight Commission back to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Lacey-Oha?
Present.
Excuse me. Commissioner Ben-Ani?
Present.
Commissioner Peterson?
Present.
Vice Chair Williams?
Present.
Chair Taylor?
Present.
We have a quorum at 8:13. Thank you.
Okay. Continuing on to item 5.2, our 2026 Antioch Police Oversight Commission goal setting.
Yes, when we spoke about this last year, I think there was a lot of change, some empty seats, and now going forward that you guys are all together, we propose to get a facilitator to work through your 2026 work plan to make it a 1 or 2 year work plan. So if you would like to discuss, have someone in mind, and move forward, you do have money in your budget for this.
Great. Do we want to have open discussion in regards to the suggestion?
Are you're asking about the suggestion for having a facilitator to help us kind of iron out some
Correct.
of our
So
work?
for the 2026 goal planning session, originally, city staff was going to assist, but the recommendation now that we have a majority of our commission present is that we utilize some of our budget, which we do have a decent amount remaining, and so that we can, hopefully as a full commission, when the 7th seat is full, go over a robust plan.
Okay, with that said, I did have something prepared. I'll let Commissioner Kennedy go first, just someone.
So if we were to go the route of using a consultant or a facilitator, would we go ahead and utilize one of the facilitators that the city already has under contract that's been working, for example, with the city council, or would we be essentially going out to bid?
Yeah, I would say use somebody that has expertise in constitutional policing and civilian oversight committees, and that's no one on staff. I have it, but I'm not in that role. I'm a city manager, so I wouldn't be utilizing my skills because it doesn't make sense. And so I would get someone who has that. And I think you guys probably met some people from NACOL. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, I was just curious from a time frame standpoint for one thing, so thank you. We could make you multiple hats if you'd
Separate
like.
budget.
No, thank you. You can't afford me.
She said it's not enough in that budget. I do have someone in mind. I did meet someone at NACOL that I did take their contact information, and that is their specific field. Hopefully we can afford him, but I can definitely initiate the contact.
I don't mind putting out like a request for qualifications that you guys can like then look over. And this shouldn't be like an expensive contract. It's just, a 1 day, like 8 hours.
And that would take place at a commission meeting?
Yeah.
Because of the Brown Act and all that? Okay, got it.
So just going back to the 8 hours, doing that during a commission meeting
Yeah,
might
you
be
just break it
challenging
over.
unless we broke it up.
Yeah, you would break it up. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. And there'd be, a lot of pre-work, and there's things that you all have to do to kind of ideate like what you envision. So a lot of the onus is on you, but the facilitator would synthesize everything together for you.
And I kind of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think that there would be a lot of positive aspects to bringing in somebody who's a facilitator that can help work through the discussion. And I think that, because there are some of us that have past experience at different levels and layers also, it would probably be helpful to share some of that with our new commissioners, so that they're familiar with work that's already been done with the ad hocs and so on. But I think that would be a step in the right direction. What kind of time frame do we think we would be looking at to be able to start to put out an RFP?
I think probably by the end of the month, but also there's a lot of trainings that you all need to do, and onboarding, like Brown Act and the ordinance overview, also the joint meeting with the city council. So you don't really have time until May anyway. So I would just say make it your 2-year work plan and get bang for your buck by having a strategic plan. So in the spring.
Do we need a motion, or do we just need to?
We need a motion, but I just want to make sure the public comment.
No public comment, thank you.
And yes, we do need a motion.
But before we put the motion on the floor, I just want to be clear what the topics we are going to be focusing on again.
On the agenda?
Yeah, when we have this, when it's facilitated come in and speak to us, what
There'll be
will
these
the-
points.
Oh, it's already there, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And Chair, Madam
right.
Chair, I just wanted to add, like, I did prepare something just so we can, like, kind of understand where our focus should be. I'm not saying that this is what everyone's focus should be, but like just kind of like a proposal from me.
If you can share it like via email
Sure.
so that way it can go to the consultant and all of us can do that, right? So that way when we decide on who we're gonna work with, then we can share our general like goals and aspects with them, and they can potentially add that to whatever they're gonna present to us.
So I just want to ask a question. Where is the topics listed at that we will be focusing on? Where is that?
5-2 under A, goals and approach APOC work areas per the ordinance, 2026 APOC Comprehensive Community Engagement Plan, creation of ad hoc committee. Those are the topics.
But the facilitator.
He will be facilitating this discussion.
Oh, got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
He or she.
I thought I heard our city manager say something totally different than this, but, you know, okay. Thank you.
Well, and I think that we've got, I know at least two of the ad hocs provided accomplishments and some goals and objectives for 2026, which gives us a jumping off point. And I think I posed this question previously, so forgive me. But I know that Mr. Sapal mentioned in his presentation the role that APOC is going to need to play or will play with the DOJ agreement. So I would request that we also include something on this list where that nexus comes in as
agree.
well.
From the newer commissioners, do you guys have any questions or like anything about, just so you guys can follow along?
They're probably like, yes and amen, because
Yeah.
that was a robust discussion that was about to happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No questions for me. I'm just going along, seeing what's going to happen.
And feel free to add too. I mean, you guys are here for a reason, so if you guys, have any ideas.
No questions really, but maybe clarification on if the request is including the actual, like, the class action settlement that just happened, or is it just the US DOJ agreement?
We can definitely ask. I think that's going to depend on if the modifications that are happening now in court are finalized, because until it does, it's confidential. And so if it aligns, then I would assume that it would be included because our work overlays with it.
And I would just like to say now that we have a very young man on our commission, do you think it's appropriate that we have something in this work plan that's geared towards your generation? I mean, I'm looking out for the young people, because I have 4 myself.
Yeah, I think that could be helpful, especially around juvenile justice.
Like that. Any other discussion? Motion?
I move that we proceed with the creation of an RFP for a facilitator / consultant to assist the commission with creating our 2026, 2027 work plan.
Suspending the item from today. Suspending the item from the agenda today, to continue it.
And we'll continue the item to the next meeting? No, what you said continue?
Continue it after we have selected a.
Oh,
Mhm.
so, yep, that we create the RFP for review by the commission, and and then move forward appropriately.
Thereafter.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, trying to cover.
That's good. Is there a
Mr.
second?
City Attorney, would you like to help me out here since I'm like about to go under for the third time?
Yeah, so for example, it could be, continue this to the first meeting in April to have a draft of the RFP. At that point, the commission can discuss and see whether or not it meets the goals that the commissioners have outlined. And at that point, the RFP could be approved, and then we would push it. I think usually it's a 30-day period that it's open. That can be changed, but so basically, the easy answer would be to continue this matter until the first meeting in April for the discussion of the draft of the RFP. So if somebody wants to make that motion, and then there could be a second.
So moved.
Second.
A roll call, please.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacey-Oha,
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Aye.
and Chair Taylor.
Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you.
And just to describe what the next step would be is that once you have approved the RFP, it would then go out for submission. We would receive the applicants, the bids, then we would go through the process there. So there'd be, interviews, bid tabulation, and the decision would be made.
City Manager Scott, just one other quick question. Do we have the ability to encumber funds from this year's budget to roll over to next year? Thank you.
So if I understood carefully, once the RFP go out and you get the candidates you think that would be more suitable for this, then there will be an interview, correct?
So you all would review based on a scoring criteria and pick the top 1 or 2, 3 maybe, and designate a committee to interview them and choose to bring it back to your commission to vote on your choice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it would be an ad hoc committee that would be formed for that. They would interview, then they would present their applicant. So, kind of with the selection process, like how the commissioners were put here, there was one member of the council who nominated somebody. Your ad hoc would nominate somebody to the committee at large, and then you all would vote as to whether or not you want to have that person there. Once that's done, we would work on internally we'd work on the contract, and we would go back and forth and get them working with the city to work with you.
Thank you.
In that committee, do we who's going to be choosing a dollar amount to pay this person?
In the budget review, I guess we can look at, what we have left and available.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the RFP, we can place the amount before they apply.
Okay.
So yeah,
I just wanted to make sure people knew that.
The RFP will likely have for example, it'll have the terms of what you guys are looking for, and then a not to exceed amount. So then they are aware of what the budget limitations are when they're applying for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it will be, you would review your budget, you would see what you have left in there, what you want to allocate for this, what you think would be, I guess what the starting point would be, where you think you could get somebody who could do the job. And then we would work with that, drafting the RFP, of course, presenting it to you for approval, all of that.
And if this does go into or beyond June 30th, which is the end of the fiscal year, if we have the ability to encumber, that gives us additional flexibility.
Okay. We're all set.
Item 5-3, our first read of the annual report for APOC. You don't have a copy? Good. Can you bounce off with me in reading? Okay. So I'll start off with the introduction. The Antioch Police Oversight Commission was established to enhance transparency, accountability, and trust between APD and the community that it serves. The commission is committed to advancing equitable public safety practices while ensuring that departmental policies and operations reflect community values and legal standards. During the 2025-2026 reporting period, APOC reached a significant milestone in its oversight work through the comprehensive review of the Antioch Police Department Policy Handbook. This work was conducted through a formal policy ad hoc working group and represented a shift from identifying policy gaps to actively participating in policy alignment, review, and accountability. The policy ad hoc working group operated collaboratively with our federally appointed monitor from the U.S. Department of Justice, representatives from the California commissioners from the Antioch Police Oversight Commission. APOC commissioners participating in this process included co-chair Devin Williams, myself, and former Commissioner Lisa Elikwachi. This collaborative approach ensured that federal and state oversight standards, national best practices, operational realities, and community accountability priorities were all represented through the policy review process. Section 2.
Thank you. And just as a suggestion, I feel like we should all kind of read
Absolutely,
this. Yeah.
when it gets to their ad hoc.
To the ad hoc. Okay. So Section 2, Policy Review, Alignment, and Oversight. During the 2026-2027 reporting period, the APOC Policy Ad Hoc Working Group conducted a comprehensive review of all policies identified within the APOC Enabling Ordinance. This review was structured across 5 distinct policy tier levels, allowing for systematic examination of policy intent, legal compliance, implementation standards, and accountability mechanisms. Policy areas reviewed included, but were not limited to, use of force, hate crimes, use of canines, de-escalation and interactions with community members, First Amendment protected assemblies, bias-based policing, including profiling based on characteristics protected under federal, state, and local law. All policy review discussions, revisions, and recommendations were conducted in confidence within the collaborative working group. This confidentiality was necessary to support candid legal analysis, effective collaboration with federal and state partners, and the integrity of the review process. Reviewed and revised policies will be made public upon completion of the full review and approval process. At this time, there is no set public release date, but APOC will continue to provide transparency updates as policies advance toward adoption and implementation. Policy Ad Hoc Completion Update. The APOC Policy Ad Hoc Working Group has completed all policy review recommendations identified with the Commission's Enabling Ordinance. This is a repeat. The newly revised Antioch Police Department Policy Handbook has advanced through collaborative review and is currently undergoing the finalized approval and adoption process. This milestone reflects the Commission's transition from policy gap identification to the completion of comprehensive policy alignment achieved through sustained collaboration with federal and state oversight partners. And I'll pass it back to y'all.
Budget. APOC acknowledges the challenges associated with conducting a full budget review. I am the sole member of the budget ad hoc until the next meeting. That was me pitching. A full budget review during a period of leadership transition within the police department and city administration. As such, the commission focused its efforts on identifying priority areas for oversight capacity building and preparing for future budget cycles. One key recommendation during this period was the allocation of funding at the discretion of the chief of police to support commissioner training and professional development. This investment strengthens APOC's ability to provide informed and effective civilian oversight. Looking ahead, APOC remains committed to conducting a comprehensive review of the 2025 through 2027 budget cycle with a focus on transparency and budget allocation and reporting, alignment of resources with community safety and equity priorities, continued funding and policy integration of our Angelo Quinto Crisis Response Team, who's in the room, so thank y'all for always showing up. Support for community engagement and oversight infrastructure, commission training, and annual conferences. The commission will continue to work collaboratively with APD leadership and city staff to ensure budgetary decisions reflect both operational needs and community expectations. As a part of strengthening APOC's community-facing oversight capacity, the commission recommends the following allocations for consideration within the 2025-2027 budget cycle. Earlier in the year, we had a presentation from Saving Our Streets. Mr. Baldwin is in the room. His program, thank you, leads our offers support to our officers and also to community members in regards to community policing. It's a proven program. The company has worked with several police departments across the state of California and has had great success in bridging gaps between community members who otherwise may not be as comfortable working with police departments. Also looked at funding for community engagement and educational materials in the amount of $7,000. And that includes things like shirts, pins, badges, our business cards, name tags, and just giveaways. So when we go out and do community engagement, we have something to actually utilize and give to community. We did just have that discussion, so we know that we have a budget that will go towards fiscal, which it mentions at the bottom we have a remaining balance for operational overhead or any other situations like the one that just arose. And we also are going to recommend in our final, and it's not in here, but for us to have some kind of an in-kind donation for a community sitting space for us so that we can have a work site for folks to visit. And I will pass it to our training and development ad hoc to read section 4, please.
Speaking of having only one person left on an ad hoc, recognizing that effective civilian oversight requires continuous learning, APOC has taken steps to formalize commissioner training and professional development. The members of the Commissioner Training and Development Commission Readiness was myself, former Commissioner Lisa Elagawachi, and former Commissioner Joe Mitchell. We have established training days, trying to focus on strengthening oversight capacity, policy, literacy, and accountability practices. These trainings will begin in February and continue throughout the year. We may need to work on some of that schedule just a wee bit. Training topics include, but are not limited to, constitutional policing, civilian oversight roles and responsibilities, policy analysis and implementation, best practices in public accountability and governance, and this initiative represents a critical investment in ensuring that commissioners are well equipped to fulfill their oversight responsibilities with rigor, independence, and professionalism.
Okay, so next is section 5, community engagement ad hoc, progress and outcomes. And I'm going to read word for word. On this ad hoc committee, it was myself, Commissioner, co-chair Devin Williams, and Commissioner Susan Kennedy. During the reporting period, APOC advanced its commitment to meaningful community engagement through the work of the Community Engagement Ad Hoc. This ad hoc focused on increasing public awareness of APOC, strengthening communication with residents, and ensuring community perspectives inform oversight priorities, particularly related to non-biased policing. These were the key accomplishments: development of a draft communications plan for commission-wide review, engagement with APD representatives to discuss outreach efforts and appropriate APOC participation, commissioner attendance at community events including community cleanups, coffee with the cops, national night out, and neighborhood watch meetings, review of the APOC one-year community engagement strategy to identify approaches best aligned with community needs.
Last bullet point.
Okay, so exploration of community listening sessions in impacted neighborhoods such as the Sycamore Corridor and potential collaboration with faith leaders already engaged in community outreach. Okay. These activities allow commissioners to engage residents outside formal meeting settings and better understand community concerns related to trust, transparency, and accountability.
Thank you. And I will go on to say goals and recommendations. Exploring opportunities for a public launch or introductory event. Further development of outreach materials such as brochures or handouts. Increasing APOC visibility and accessibility within the community. Identifying trusted community messengers to help raise awareness of APOC's role. Holding engagement activities outside of City Hall settings, requesting that City of Antioch provide an in-kind community meeting space, as mentioned earlier, outside of Antioch Police Department compounds or substations to host APOC and community engagement meetings in order to maintain neutral, community-centered engagement environments and reinforce independent civilian oversight. Requesting the release of publicly accessible monthly calendar identifying Antioch Police Department events that community members are invited to attend, supporting transparency, participation opportunities, and strengthen community police engagement. Utilizing city communication channels, including social media, to promote APOC meetings, and recommendation for an accountability ceremony in honor of residents of the City of Antioch who were harmed by APD.
Conclusions and next steps. The 2026-2027 reporting period reflects a maturation of the Antioch Police Oversight Commission's role, from identifying reform needs to actively participating in policy review, oversight infrastructure, and community engagement. Moving forward, APOC will continue to monitor the implementation of reviewed and revised policies, support transparency as policies move toward public release, invest in commissioner training and development, strengthen community engagement and feedback mechanisms, provide independent, informed oversight in collaboration with APD and the city's leadership, advance finalized policy implementation while strengthening community-based oversight infrastructures through recommended budget investments and accessible public meeting opportunities. We, as a body, extend our appreciation to APD leadership, city staff, the federal and state partners for their collaboration and commitment to accountability, and through continued partnership and oversight, we, APOC, reaffirm our dedication to fostering a safe and more equitable future for the city of Antioch. And that is our 2025 annual report. There clearly has to be some modifications just based on some of the things that happened earlier in the evening. So we can open up for public comment and then have just a quick discussion about how we want to go about the modifications. Is there public comment?
No public comment at this time, thank you.
Okay. Any just general discussion on modifications that need to happen before we approve this to go before City Council?
I have a quick question about the Saving Our Streets program and the $25,000. So when we talk about the funding for that, is that funding in APOC's budget, or is that funding in APD's budget?
That's APOC's budget.
And so my follow-up question for that is to the chief. Whenever that presentation was made, it seemed abundantly clear to me that there needs to be buy-in by the department, by the union, by, and that there could be cost issues. I shouldn't say issues, but there will be cost ramifications for the department. Is that something, given the current circumstances, that we think are achievable?
one more time, what's the question?
Is this something that we feel that we can get buy-in from the union, which I believe Mr. Baldwin mentioned they had gotten in previous programs? And will there be issues with overtime pay given the current budget climate that will make it difficult for us to accomplish this, given those, those limitations and those challenges?
I won't speak for the bargaining groups because I'm not a member of either one of them.
Understood.
We have been asked to restrict overtime since the beginning of this fiscal year. So depending on what the ask is, some of the things that you guys are talking about, if I can't justify people to work overtime in patrol, I can't justify, it's a hard sell to, hey, there's all this extra stuff. It's just gonna depend on what it looks like. And that's a conversation I can have with the city manager and the finance director.
Yeah, I'm not even sure overtime is a requirement. I think that would be something that Mr. Baldwin and the chief can talk about. We just kind of back end sent an email of introduction, but I don't think overtime is a requirement for the program, if that's what you're speaking to.
I think depending on the time of day that the training is conducted, if they can't backfill appropriately, you're going to have unless you're going to have just strictly command staff participate, officers who are on patrol are going to have to either step out of their role on shift, or they're going to have to come in off hours, which will create the need for overtime
I know
unless.
what you mean by that, but I'm just not sure that's the way his program is designed. But that would be something like maybe a secondary or back-end meeting to discuss like actual programming requirements or answer your questions, because to my understanding, I don't know if that's how the program is formatted.
I just think it's something that we need to take into consideration as we consider how we want to put this forward as a recommendation. I mean, it was very evident that it's an excellent program. I just want to make sure that we don't put ourselves in a position where we have folks with particular expectations that this is going to happen, and then those expectations can't be met because of the restrictions based on the budget and so on.
And just to clarify, any training that doesn't happen on our designated training dates is overtime.
Thank you. And then the other question that I just wanted a little more clarification on was the recommendation for an accountability ceremony. How do we see that, and what do we see that looking like when we make that recommendation? Are we making that recommendation to the council?
All of these recommendations go before the council.
Well, I understand that, but if we're going to say we're recommending an accountability ceremony, I think that they deserve a little bit more information on what that expectation is and what that would look like to help them determine whether or not that's something they're going to agree to or approve or not.
I think over the last few years, just based on the general conversations that have come up here on the dais and also from community members, there's kind of been this area of silence, and I know there's liability issues for the city as well in regards to what can happen and cannot happen, but it's been asked repeatedly for some kind of acknowledgement of the harms that were caused by our police department, and this is not something that we have to design for them, because I think they can discuss with attorney staff themselves, but it is something that we are going to recommend because we've been asked several times.
No, I appreciate that. And I just wanted to, I'm not sure if we're simply giving this to them in writing, if you and the co-chair are going to make that presentation at a council meeting in the near future. So I just, in the event that came up, I want to make sure.
Would you like to add to it? And because that's really what
prepared.
This discussion is about, right? What does that look like ideally for us as a recommendation?
Well, I know I agree with you that our community members are waiting for acknowledgement of the trauma and the harm that has been done, and it goes probably way past 20, 30 years ago or more. But I believe that instead of calling this an accountability ceremony, we may want to say acknowledgement in honor of the residents in the city of Antioch who have been harmed by APD. It's more, to me, is more of an acknowledgement, acknowledging the harm. Whereas when we say accountability, I see it as we are asking the city to be held accountable, right, for what they have done. And I believe we should change the verbiage. Yes, and then also what I wanted to focus on is the $7,000 for the community engagement and educational material. I would like to know, how did we come to that amount? I would like to recommend that we increase it extra $3,000, make it $10,000, if that was possible.
We came to that amount. Some of the items were vetted by city staff, and so they were able to quote me and give amounts so that it was reasonably priced and that we were still being cost effective to leave room for items like facilitators and overhead. Is there a general reason for the $3,000
increase?
Yeah.
Yes, because if the community engagement, we may want to have an event, set up a table somewhere. We may want to have little goodies. We may
No,
wanna
that
have,
is all specific to.
But when I say goodies, I mean like maybe food items, like muffins, donuts, coffee, tea.
So you can include that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm thinking on those terms. You know,
I think
but if that's somewhere else in this budget,
in the
that's fine.
probably like general remaining.
Okay.
Because we do have a remaining budget.
Okay. All right. And then also, I wanted to touch on the utilizing city communication channels, including social media, to promote APOC meetings. This is something that I am strongly for, because I believe that we are lagging in that area. And we really need to promote our meetings. We need to do a better job in that area.
Yes.
I agree.
Oh, sorry.
Did anybody else have anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I would just agree with the point about potentially changing the accountability ceremony to a like pain acknowledgement ceremony. I think the language is more digestible for the city council, and I think it's appropriate to acknowledge the pain and history of harm in the community.
Thank you. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, thank you all for the suggestions. This is something that I I brought up, Chair Taylor and I several times. We were discussing what the name should be or what the language should be around it, and I understand that we want to make it comprehensible, digestible, but I do feel like the name accountability, which is why I chose it, because there is still like a deep unacknowledgement that kind of went in for most citizens who probably think, having a pain, ceremony might be one thing, but like, who's going to be accountable? And in a way, I don't want to say it is the city of Antioch's fault, but there wasn't an audit for 7 years of the police department. So in a sense, we want to make sure that there's accountability to make sure that people know that this isn't going to be a watered down version of like what an event should be. And my original thinking was, when our last mayor, who wasn't here 100 years ago, when we ran the Chinese out, there was an apology ceremony, and there was nothing short of calling it an apology ceremony. So that's why I wanted the name to kind of stick, because there was great harm dealt here, and I want people to know that we're not gonna whitewash it. So that's why I chose the language. But thank you.
But was it called accountability ceremony? Because I don't think there was a name to that ceremony. I just believe our former mayor, they met down here and acknowledged the harm that had been done to that community. Because using the word accountability, I don't know, I don't believe it fits this scenario. It's more of acknowledging that harm was done, that as a result, people of color had suffered, had still traumatized to this very day, you know. So
So I think there's a couple of things that we want to contemplate as we look at this. I think if we go back to Mayor Thorpe's proclamation to the Asian community, that was directly tied to COVID. It was directly tied to the hate and the issues that were being, put upon that community during COVID specifically. There are also a lot of aspects of that proclamation and other things that came along with it that didn't happen, that have not ultimately happened. I think the other thing that's really critical is that we have to realize that there were people who were specifically harmed by the direct action of officers. We had an entire city that was impacted overall. And I think that to simply say this is in honor, and I don't necessarily care for in honor of, in recognition, I mean, I realize we could get into semantics here. But if we're really truly talking about acknowledgement or accountability, this entire city was impacted negatively and continues to be impacted negatively every time the messaging comes up about X, Y, and Z. And so we have to figure out how to, if this is something we want to have happen, we have to look at the fact that people are going to look at this and perceive it differently. And I think we also have to be prepared for the potential that for some people, whatever we do will not be enough. It is not, in my opinion, going to just be one magic moment that's going to right all the wrongs for everybody. And I think we have to be very honest about that also.
Yeah, I don't think we're looking for magic. I think when, and I'm gonna speak from the place of like a parent, right? When my 4-year-old does something wrong to someone else, I tell him to say sorry. That's all we're asking for.
Right, and to be transparent, I don't believe that when Lamar had this ceremony, I'm getting tongue-tied because this is a very sensitive subject for me. When Mayor Lamar had his ceremony, I don't believe it was tied to COVID because the Japanese community, if I'm correct, there was harm done to them. So it was acknowledged.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully I'm speaking
I'm not
the facts.
I'm not going to speak to it because I don't know the facts.
But I do know that way before I came to Antioch, there was an issue. And I know I have heard stories from residents in Pittsburgh, older people. They would share their stories with me. And everybody cannot be, there has to be some truth in those stories.
Right.
There was a time when many say they could not come into Antioch. And it wasn't until one of the builders stood up and said they were not going to build here in the city of Antioch until they changed their whatever. discriminating against people of color, African Americans in particular. So I agree, there needs to be some acknowledge that harm was done. I'm not going to dispute that whatever happened 5, 6 years ago or whatever did not impact the whole entire city of Antioch. But people of African American descent and people of color in general were impacted the most. And people are still traumatized.
Absolutely.
They do not want to talk to the police because a lot of times because they don't trust the police. When we had that meeting a few months ago or sometime last year, people expressed how they still did not trust law enforcement
At
because of
Genesis
their
Church.
experiences. I have a son who will not come here to Antioch. He will not live here because he was afraid at one point in time in his life. So he left the area, and he said he's never coming back here. So I do agree that there needs to be some sort of acknowledgement ceremony.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just, thank you all for bringing this up about the accountability ceremony. I do think it's important that we do acknowledge what happened to the victims, to the folks who had bad experiences with our police department. I think it's just very important that before we launch something like this, that we're very clear in what our goals are and what we expect to accomplish. And I think that will help us gain a little bit more clarity around exactly what's going to happen in this ceremony, what we're apologizing for, and also with accountability, there comes, in my opinion, whenever you're holding yourself accountable and you issue that apology, there needs to come up next, how are you going to improve, right? It's something as a married man I've had to learn. And so with that, I do think it would be important for us or a member of this commission to go to the ceremony and talk about all the great things that you guys have done in the last year and a half to move the department forward and talk about the new initiatives and the new reforms that are coming down so that residents understand that, hey, yes, these bad things happen, but here's how we're moving forward. Thank you.
I like that. That's good.
And that's exactly what because I was thinking just now, like maybe the definition of the word accountability is not the right word to use, but I'm thinking we just had a presentation from the Department of Justice saying that we were in compliance with this MOU and our changes that are going to be made. And I think if we want to stick to those standards of what changes in rebuilding this department looks like, then the word accountability shouldn't be an issue, because what we're going to be doing every day from here on out is holding our officers accountable. And that's me, that's everyone up on this dais, the work that we do. I want to make sure that accountability is at the forefront, because this is what we're doing. We're an oversight commission, and I feel like our job is now to sustain that rebuilding and just possible trust that comes in the future. So that's all I'll say on the matter, but I do appreciate everyone's input. Thank you.
Do you have any input?
Yeah, in terms of framing and narrative setting, I think accountability would be an ideal term, but I'm worried about the legal implications and I'm worried about like whether or not the council would approve such strong language. It's stronger than acknowledgement, but maybe too strong. Maybe there needs to be something stronger than an acknowledgement. Maybe like an acknowledgement and a recommittal or recommitment to like the social contract or something like that. Maybe something stronger, but I think accountability might be an issue in terms of feasibility in getting this language ultimately approved by the city council.
Is it appropriate to, given all the comments, and, I think that I appreciate the input from both of our new commissioners, is it appropriate to remove this bullet from the annual report? There's nothing that prevents us from going back to the council at any time with a suggestion or a recommendation or anything else, and work on this so that we as a commission are comfortable with what we are actually asking and recommending. Because we're sitting here trying to wordsmith. I don't get the sense that there's a comfortability right now with necessarily accountability or acknowledgement. I think that we all sort of look at this and maybe have a different view of what it might look like. And I also think that we need to have, if we haven't already, I think we need to have some discussion with staff and with the attorney on, what this might look like and what it could or should or need to look like in order to make sure that we don't create additional issues.
I'm not in favor of removing it, but I'm also not a stickler of what it's called. I think that's minimal to what we're asking for. Like, that's not the highest point of this conversation. We clearly see that is what's being discussed, what we're going to call it. However, I didn't hear anyone else state that they were against it occurring. It's more so verbiage. But I will also open that up for conversation as well. For me, I think it should stay.
And I would say to that point, I think us being a civilian commission, oversight commission, I think that a crucial piece of the point of what I'm trying to make is the public, their input, and maybe leave it for them to maybe do some wordsmithing around what it should be called, even though I
we
seem
can work
to
with the
be
attorneys in
missing
regards to
something here around the word. But I respect everyone's views and I get it. But I do think, I do think that there are a piece of this, which is the public, that should be at this conversation as well. Not, as I'm sitting here thinking, like, maybe this is their event, so.
Yes, and I do respect everyone's opinions and comments, but I believe now is the time. It's been swept under the rug for too long. And we've been up and running since what, 2024? Here it is, 2026. So there's nothing wrong with bringing this forward right now. If we don't, people are going to keep talking about it. They're going to keep coming to us about it. So I say let's not take it, remove it from this list, and go forward with it. We just may want to change the language a little.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say that, to piggyback on what Commissioner Benoni said, I am a little concerned about the language that we use and also the legal implications of that. I'm not opposed to having an accountability ceremony or an apology ceremony. I would just like to, just as has been mentioned, work with city council, work with the city attorney on that, just to make sure that we're not causing more legal issues for the city, because it's important to hold the police department accountable, but we shouldn't bankrupt the city in the process. So.
And I think it's about striking the balance, because I think we're supposed to be the liaison kind of between the police department and the citizens, the residents. So I think in some terms we're supposed to be the neutral third party, but we definitely want to acknowledge the pain and the history. I think it is just a language contention.
And I like the word that Commissioner Josiah Benani just used, acknowledge the history. because I'm telling you, I know what I know before I came to Antioch. Even my father, who was in Alabama, he thought I lived in Concord because they knew what was going on in Concord. There is a history that has yet to be acknowledged that has harmed people of color, and it had been going on for years. So thank you.
And I think it's just very important for us to also acknowledge, like earlier we talked about all the great strides that we have taken and our ad hocs and, reaching compliance and all of the great work that APD has done. And as we reach this bridge, right, where we'll actually be able to show the public everything that we have done and will continue to do and that APD will continue to do, that is a great way to start, right? You have to start from the beginning. There are several areas within our community that right now today are not comfortable with the police department. And that's a start. And that's a way for us as the neutral parties, especially community engagement ad hoc members. We all will be out there, but community engagement ad hoc members that will be floating around the different districts to begin the trust building process and being the middle ground person. And so we can definitely work on language, and we can definitely set up back-end meetings with council and our legal staff or the city's legal staff to make sure that we are not, creating extra liability. And we can also work on some kind of structure to what this engagement potentially will look like. But yeah, I definitely recommend it stays. Go ahead.
And I definitely understand that acknowledgement is not as strong as accountability, but the last thing I would like to say is I think I would be in favor of an acknowledgement and recommitment. I think a recommitment implicitly acknowledges accountability without a formal apology, a formal admission of liability. So I think that a recommitment is appropriate, and because we don't want to just acknowledge and move on. We want to completely go the opposite way. We want to acknowledge and transform and move in a more positive direction.
I like that.
So what is our ultimate timing to submit this report to council?
Oh yeah, we're way overdue.
Well, I mean, because, and I feel like we're sort of still sitting here trying to figure out the wordsmithing. So,
yes, you're right.
So I'm gonna come back to my suggestion that if the goal is to get this in front of the council, that we take this item, we pull it out of this report, and we get it where we want it, and we make that recommendation separately.
Yeah, I'm again going to oppose. We already discussed that the budget has to be amended within this same item, and that has to come back for complete review and approval.
Okay, all right.
And then once that's done, we can vote on the complete report to go to the council. And you guys can also come in because we will have to motion and vote on this.
As clarification, would it be possible to strike the word or the name accountability ceremony and insert acknowledgement and recommitment ceremony?
Yeah, are you motioning?
Is okay.
Well, just as a kind of for the new commissioners, because you haven't really done this before, as a point of kind of procedural background, if you can do whatever you would like, it's just that if a decision is going to be made by the commission, it has to be made by everyone. So the way you normally do that is, if you want to propose a change, you would make a motion. Then once there's a second to the motion, then it would go to the entire commission for a vote. If the majority of the commission votes for it, the motion's approved, moves on. If less than the entire majority votes for it, say if there's a tie or it's 4-2 against, whatever it is, then the motion would fail. And depending on the circumstances, it may be, okay, if there's two competing motions where one must fail for the other to pass, so on and so forth, you would go with, that's how it would go. So, for example, here, Commissioner Benoni, it seems like you are suggesting, you want to make a motion to change the language. You can make that motion. If there is a second, there will be a second. And then once there's a second, there will be a vote. If there is no second, within a reasonable period of time, then that motion would die. That's just a little bit of background. So because I heard you asking, can I do this? You can make the motion whenever you would like. It's just that you would need a second in order for the motion to then go to a vote.
Okay, thank you. I move to strike the name accountability ceremony and insert acknowledgement and recommitment ceremony.
Is there a second?
A second.
Can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioja,
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Respectfully, no.
Chair Taylor.
Aye.
The motion passes with 5 yes and 1 no. Thank you.
May I ask, City Attorney, if we already are clear on, except for the discussion in regards to SOS, for our budget, we're all good with everything else? Because that's the only other area that needed modifications, correct?
So what,
Just real quick, I just wanted to ask that, and then I was gonna say, if we can agree, I would motion that we would make the adjustments, but that we could approve what is here for, city council, so we can move forward.
yeah, so you could make a motion to approve everything except for that particular section and then have that come back at the next meeting. That would be a totally acceptable motion to make.
Does that work so that we can move the report forward? Okay.
However, to make sure that we're covering things before motions being made, if there is any public comment, that should be taken, so then the public has a chance to let you know what they think before you make your decision.
Thank you. Is there public comment for this?
No public comment on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. I motion to remove the budget for amendment and approve the 2025 annual report.
I'll second.
Can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioja,
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni,
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Taylor.
Yes.
The motion passes. Thank you.
And just to kind of make sure it's clear amongst everyone, because that motion has now been passed, there should be no further discussion as to the rest of it. You've all agreed to what that's going to be. So I think that's just to make sure that's clear. So then next time when we bring it back, the discussion should be focused purely on that one budget item, so then we can get through it.
Public comment?
Yes, we have one public speaker, Michael Baldwin.
Good evening. I just wanted to mention a couple of things that I've enjoyed the conversation and the discussion tonight. And when I think about community engagement, I think that accountability piece is something that's born as a result of the community engagement. To initiate that before the community engagement, I think is kind of premature. It's almost like being told to say I'm sorry when I haven't really accepted accountability for any of my own actions, or who's accountable, like who's to say I'm sorry, so who is to make that apology. I think that the community engagement piece and the work that we do, we specialize in bringing the difficult community, the people who have the most extra grind, into the rooms with law enforcement. And sometimes it's ironic that law enforcement also has a feeling about they have an extra grind as well. And so who's apologizing to them? And so by bringing these two entities into the room together, they ultimately produce accountability together. And eventually that will be your community that will promote that type of accountability program or acknowledgement ceremony, which has more impact in the community, which has more teeth in it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Has the timer been running? Because there should be the 3-minute timer.
which has more teeth in it, which will allow for that piece to really have some staying power. One of the other things that I wanted to mention is that when it comes to any of the work that we will do with the community of Antioch, when it involves law enforcement and the community, we do not make any plans without the chief's wherewithal. We would be remiss to diminish the force to gain any type of education. So it would definitely be in conjunction with what's in the best interest of the chief and the way that the community needs to operate.
Is there any other public comment?
No further public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Ad hoc report outs? We just did that.
I'll just do a real quick. So everybody should have gotten their email about the training video, and we will continue down that route. Commissioner Lacey Oha was, I guess, having a little bit of an accessibility issue getting the video up. So if folks have that, please reach out to Officer Amiri, and we'll see what we can do to get that taken care of. And then I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Any other report outs from ad hocs? No? Is there any public comment?
No public comment. Thank you.
Okay, upcoming future agenda items. Definitely want to prioritize our elect of chair and co-chair positions for our next meeting. It was due in January, but because we have not had quorum since December, we have not been able to agendize it. Also, I want to have an ad hoc discussion because we want to get y'all grounded and put y'all to work. And then our onboarding training. Did you guys go to onboarding?
Yes, on Friday.
Okay. So you don't need that. And then our budget. I definitely want to make sure the budget is reviewed for our next meeting so we can also do our recommendation to council for that.
Great. And we'll also have to start a new committee to hire a facilitator from what we discussed earlier.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I got. I know we got a lot of stuff from last year that we still need to catch up on. So,
Do you guys have any suggestions for the upcoming agenda?
Not at this time.
Yeah, I don't have any suggestions.
I think we've got you, by the way, were you copying my list? It sounds like we are going to be moving in a direction with a joint meeting with the council, and I'm assuming that's going to be on the ordinance and other items?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what other items you all requested. We just need to know what you want to meet about.
Okay, because that was just checking on that. And then I think at some point, it doesn't have to be immediately, but I think one of the things that did kind of come up tonight is getting a sense of the nexus between, it's like APD is here, but yet we've got the public safety department, and there are certain things that they take on, like the Cal VIP grant, and where some of that might fit and or kind of blend over into what we do from an outreach standpoint, and where we might be able to do some partnering with them to reach out to the community also. That may be something that's appropriate.
So maybe like a presentation from our public safety department?
That would be great too.
Okay.
I can request it, but of course, I'm very protective of my staff, so I check in with them on their bandwidth. So I'll get back to you on this.
Thank you. Okay, so everyone's good with the list?
Well, there was, I hope that we don't forget about AB 847.
We did not forget. I
Okay.
reached out to the office. Unfortunately, when we well, when we originally reached out, the legislative session had not begun yet. And now we are in the midst of the legislative season, and that was her chief of staff that was meeting with us. So it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult, especially because he's scheduled with us so many times, and then we didn't have quorum. So I did request that they send us over even just a slideshow. And that way, if he cannot come, then we have something that we can go over and discuss. And so, yeah, because it's very important. So, yes, you're right.
And then there was something else that I would like for us to see if we could get someone to come in and speak to us on police-involved jeopardy. That's probably not the right title, but it was on one of the minutes here, and I think I brought it up once before. I have to go back in my notes to get the correct term for it, but it was part of the NACO training. There have been incidents where the police officer put themselves in harm's way, and there was a shooting, police-involved shooting as a result. I would have to get back with you on the correct title of that, but there was a couple of gentlemen from the Bay Area that gave a presentation, and they had a video, actual video of the incident that had occurred. And one of those incidents happened, and I believe in where was it? Somewhere here in Contra Costa County, some years ago, with one of someone from the sheriff's department. So,
would you like APD to present on that, or?
I believe they possibly could.
Okay, it kind of reminds me of in the policy ad hoc, while we were reviewing in different subsections. I don't want to be specific with language because the process, but there was specific suggestions made regarding exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, and once I come up with the correct language of it, I will let you know. I can't think of it right now.
I kind of have a good idea of what you're talking about, to where if you were to send an email, and then, we could ask Chief, is there something that could be presented on that? Then, yeah, we can definitely.
There is one thing from earlier, if it's possible to visit once it goes through the proper channels and reaches the proper stage, the internal affairs procedures. If I'm not sure if the APOC has had a chance to look at it yet, but if not, and if it's acceptable, then perhaps we could look at that at some point.
Yes, we have not had an opportunity. I believe our monitor said that he would disperse it when it's available. So yeah, absolutely, good point. I noted it. Any other suggestions? No? Okay. Do we have public comment?
No public comment, thank you.
Okay. Is there any report outs from anyone? General report outs?
I had the opportunity to help paint the skate park with the city manager on Martin Luther King Day. Also attended APD's District 1 outreach meeting and the Neighborhood Watch meeting on Lily Court, as well as Councilmember Torres Walker's District 1 meet and greet last week. And then I also participated in the remote racial justice town hall that was the third in their series. The one thing that I think I'm noticing as I'm listening to some of the community feedback, and I think we heard it even during last week's city council meeting, is there are members of the community who did have bad experiences who are now coming up during public comment and acknowledging the progress that they feel like they are seeing in the presentations and so on. And folks, APD's doing a great job of bringing out officers to answer a broad cross-section of questions. And I think we are absolutely moving in the right direction. And welcome, Commissioner Peterson and Commissioner Ben-Oni. Thanks for jumping right in tonight, and we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks.
Okay, well, first I want to say thank you to everyone for your outpouring of support. Some of you may know I lost my father unexpectedly, and I reached out to you all to let you know I couldn't come to that next meeting. And then you all appreciate all the support. I'm doing better than what I had been. I can smile now. But when I came back, about a couple of weeks after I got back home, I got a text message from Pastor Damon Owens reminding me of the grand opening of the Family Life Center. So I attended that with my fellow commissioner. What I was most impressed about was we had a lot of our APD officers there. They were there to support that event. And NAACP members were there. And people just really welcomed all of us with open arms. It really means a lot when they see city leaders and appointed leaders, elected and appointed leaders. The mayor of Pittsburgh was in attendance. Our supervisor was in attendance. And then also one of the most prolific women pastors in the Bay Area, Pastor Jackie Thompson, she was present. So it was so good seeing her, and we embraced. And Genesis, they're looking for volunteers. And I encourage everyone, if you have an opportunity, whenever they're having an event, stop by and support this church. They're doing great things in the city of Antioch. Also on February 24th, I attended the Teens and Domestic Violence event. That's a subject that's close to my heart. It was well attended by many young people. And one thing that the facilitator discussed was how to determine the signs of abuse. And also Yolanda Williams, I believe, from Back on Track. She was one of the presenters. Yvette. I don't know, I keep calling her Yolanda. Yvette Williams was one of the presenters. And, she shared her story. And so it was very engaging. And I look forward to participating in other events, because there are other events coming up focusing on domestic violence. And it's just not for teens, but for adults as well. Yes. Once again, thank you so much.
Awesome. Yes, I attended a series of events. Commissioner Oisioha mentioned one of them. That was a really nice facility. If you guys haven't been able to get over there, it's really, really great. Over at the Family Life Center. I also attended the Buying Her film showing, documentary film that we had at the El Caponillo Theater. It was a joint event with Councilwoman Monica Wilson and Yvette Williams from Back on Track. Really eye-opening stuff around human trafficking. And the perspective of the film was from the men who were, the perpetrators, right? Is that the right? Traffic, well, yeah, they were. So it was a very heavy watch, but also very informative. I also attended an event with Commissioner Peterson this past Friday that NAMI co-hosted with Mr. Fab at the Delta Bay Community Church. It was the Black Consciousness event. And surprise, I was given an award for community activist for being a committed mental health advocate and using my role as a strong Black male voice and speaking up to improve outcomes for Antioch residents, which says on the plaque. I didn't make that up. No. But I also, in my citizen capacity, I did a breakout room to talk about police reform and how police reform is kind of different. We don't really reform the police department here. We are doing oversight work and restructuring, rebuilding, and working on policy. So I kind of talked about some of those things. And Addison was in that breakout room too, so maybe he wants to add something, but that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, I went to the event with Mr. Fab and Pastor Francis Lamont over at Delta Bay Community Church. Excellent event. It was really steeped in the community. We had a lot of good conversations with the community about policing, which I thought was great. And the breakout that Commissioner Williams hosted, it was really good, and he gave out a lot of really good information about the type of policies that the commission has worked on so far. And also, I just want to congratulate him on his award. It's well deserved. I've been seeing him in the community for several years now, and he's worked hard every minute. There's not a minute I don't see Devin working hard for Antioch. But I just wanted to thank everybody for allowing me, the city council, Mayor Bernal, city manager. Thank all of you guys for even allowing me the opportunity to participate on this commission. And I look forward to working with all of you. And I'm hoping that this is, that my presence here is productive, and that we're able to provide a lot of good recommendations to our department to improve, and as well as celebrate the good moments as well. Our police department, they work really hard every single day to ensure the safety of all Antioch residents, and we just want to make sure that we acknowledge that where they make mistakes, but we also celebrate their wins. So, but thank you all, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
I have nothing to report.
I will model you.
Just add, I just wanted to share, this slipped my mind again. While I was in Alabama, I was going between Alabama and Georgia, but when I was in Georgia on Martin Luther King holiday, I was able to attend the annual Martin Luther King celebration at Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I was in the room with so many civil rights leaders, including Reverend Bernice King, Shirley Caesar, and also Tremaine Hawkins, all of these well-known people who are part of the civil rights movement. And I just was really, so overwhelmed, because I was right there where it all started. So that was something else that I did too. That was on January 20th of this year. Yes.
Powerful. Are there any staff communications? Nope. Okay. Our next meeting date is March 16th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. right here in this same room.
Did we just make up for the couple of meetings that we missed all in
Amen.
one fatal swoop tonight?
Good job, team. Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
There you go. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Lacioha?
Aye.
Commissioner Benoni?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes.
Chair Taylor?
Aye.
The motion passes to adjourn the meeting at 9:36. Thank you.